Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's Star Report. This is Jason here at New Dimensions Crystals and Reiki in downtown Brenham, Texas. And today's report is for May the 21st through May the 27th, 2025. And everything is going okay, I believe. Welcome back to the show. If you missed me last week, I am back in the shop. I should be here till around 5 today, and then for the rest of the week, as far as I know. But when you have your own shop, you do what you want. Apologize if anybody came by and drove super far to get here and missed me and didn't catch the report that said I'd be gone for a little while. So moving right into the report. The sun, our closest star, is got a coronal hole stream that is heading our way with plasma. It's been hitting over the last couple of days. So if you felt a little sluggish or a little bit compressed, that is the normal energy that the sun does. And when the sun does that, sometimes we can sort of collect all that energy in the body. But if we want to get outside, ground ourselves, that energy can flow through. And it might feel a little sluggish, but it'll be more cleansing rather than compacting. So just pay attention if that energy is affecting you that way. There have been a couple of solar flares that produced CMEs that were off the sides of the sun. So they are not headed towards Earth. But whenever those things sort of spark, sometimes that's almost like when lightning flashes in the distance, you sort of get that electrical charge, right? So sometimes that could sort of give you a little bit of upgrade, give you a little bit of energy, because even though the CMEs aren't directed our way, the energy that's produced by that with our magnetic lock with the sun sometimes gives us a little burst of energy, right? So we have that sort of dual energy happening to us, right? So maybe some of you with the energy of the sun have been finding some centering, and that is also good. There have been a couple studies over the past week, if you're paying attention to Space Weather News or any spaceweather.com. In those studies have sort of produced that the total solar radiance and the energy that comes off the sun is actually affecting climate a lot more than previously understood. And so most of the changes that are going on, in addition to the magnetic pole excursion that is happening is caused by the sun and can be increased in intensity by the sun. And so the sun is something to pay attention to. And it's becoming more and more mainstream that the sun is doing weird things that may mess with us technologically. So pay attention to that. These current weekly storms that have things that happened over the last couple of days, they shouldn't be slowing down your internet or anything like that. Excuse me. All of a sudden, talking about the sun, I got a little choked up. And yeah, so you shouldn't have any technological failures. Although with the Earth shield a little bit lower, maybe you are having some slowdowns or some brief outages, but shouldn't be anything according to what's happening on the sun that was as intense as the power outages in Bali and Spain and stuff like that. Shout out, heard some information this weekend that somebody from my past in high school watches the show. So hi, Jill. Give you a shout out. Maybe you catch this week, maybe you don't. But if you do, how's it going? Anyway, moving right along, we get into our zodiac. The zodiac is moving into Gemini today, the 21st. Of course, we know that the stars don't move on a dime, and it's not like 30 seconds ago it's this, and 30 seconds afterwards it's that. But the move into Gemini shifts us from the occipital lobe, polyvagal nerve cluster right here at the base of the skull, moves us down into, you want to think of the energy as shifting physically so that all of this psychic energy that we got in Aries and we started to discern and understand and collect in Taurus is now moving down into Gemini. And that really sort of moves down in to what they call the web. And that web could be many things, nerves or whatever, but in general, the physical ailment is physical correspondence, it might be an ailment, it is with your lungs and also with the nerves. And a lot of times spinal fluid and skin is included in that, right? So it's basically your soul telling your body what it is. And so then it starts to have those interactions, right? And of course, the body is powered or spirit is given to each cell by breath, which is why breath work is an important practice of all kinds of spiritual communities. Let's see what else to say. What did I write there? That is a weird word. Oh, knowledge begins to grow in the body, right? So this is all of that springtime stuff. We're really into the growing season of summer where things aren't just budding, but they're blooming. So you want to think about the same way with the spiritual energy that's moving into the body, coming from the cosmos based on the zodiac. And of course, all kinds of fun stuff can be determined by that. One of the things that if you are having difficulty with the transition into the zodiac of Gemini, you might want to add some salt, potassium chloride salt to your diet. That is the corresponding cell salt that goes with that zodiac. And a lot of times, people born around that time or in during the time of that zodiac season, the body uses more of that salt than it would at any other time. So you might feel that. Sometimes that can control headaches. Sometimes that can control body aches. Sometimes it's just nice to have because it makes you spiritually more aligned. Yeah. Currently, we are only in one retrograde, and we are still in that sort of beginning of a new phase that's been around since or hasn't been in this general alignment since the 1860s. And really, Pluto is about releasing old wounds, healing old emotional triggers, and really sort of the acceptance of what we are, right? And so if you want to think about this as we moved into Gemini and we're here in this acceptance period, we're accepting this sort of spiritual guidance, this urge to be somebody different, somebody more, somebody um, more aligned, then that's the energy of the retrograde of Pluto. And of course, Pluto is a really tiny planet, it's really far out, right? So it's usually these things that are deep within us, right? And this could be stuff that's in your genes, right? So if you've done DNA history of yourself, like, hey, you might be having some um, visions or activity around origins, stuff like that, like your ancient past. And of course, anybody who's watching anything like this probably pays a little bit of attention to ancient Earth history and sort of like what's the process of humanity, what do we really know, what's you know known, what's believed, what's actual, all those kinds of things sort of come up when we're in the Pluto retrograde, because we are really interested in our origins, because we are concerned or determined to figure out based on that maybe where we go. So yeah, pay attention to that, which leads us into today's report for Wednesday, May the 21st. The moon, um, or the move into Gemini, not the moon, the sun into Gemini, uh, and the solar moon alignment really is giving us a sense of play and adjustment. And so that sense of play and adjustment is really not that things should be necessarily fun, but that we are testing out new things, right? So this is like, for instance, you get new tires on a car, right? You want to see how does it sound on the highway? How does it turn? What's the first rain like in those things? So this is all like all this new information that we've gathered over Taurus and has started to be accumulated into our body. Maybe we've started some new habits, some new diets. Now we're starting to sort of discern the effects of what that is, and we're sort of playing with things. Wake up earlier, take this medicine, take this supplement at this time or that time, drink this much water, that much water. This is the kind of thing I'm talking about playing with. It's not necessarily about entertainment, but it's really sort of adjustment periods. And sometimes this adjustment period stuff could be about rearranging the old stuff in a new way. So just sort of see how you can function like that. Wednesday is a good day to do it. You're tired of being at work for a couple of days. You got time to sort of see the effects and then really observe over the weekend if you don't work on weekends. So yeah, good time to be here. May the 21st, Wednesday. Moves into tomorrow, Thursday, May the 22nd. 22s are always cool, so you can sort of use the 22 day. It's not necessarily a 22 total day, but you can sort of use that 22 as the ability to sort of master the self, right? Which is why we're doing all these tests out. So it's cool when these things align. Also, Venus and Mars are aligning to give us a sense of balance, right? So Mars, masculine energy, Venus, feminine energy, or active energy and receptive energy. Gives us a sense of balance where we can find when we sort of find balance and we're not in extremes, right? You want to think about this as maybe hormonal balance, right? So too much testosterone, not enough testosterone, estrogen, not enough estrogen. When we sort of find that balance that our body, not necessarily in general as here's a prescription, but what our body feels is an alignment. This kind of energy of Venus and Mars can sort of give us that hormonal balance where we're not in any extreme. We can sort of see the center of ourselves. And so with that center of the self, we can sort of find clarity, like what's our life purpose, not necessarily guided by an extreme of I should do this, I should do that, but it's more like all of this being the case, who am I in the middle of that? And then what does a person like me do in the midst of this shifting planet? And so you'll sort of find the harmony also of love and action. Like, hey, this would be really nice, but also this will be really nice, and I'm doing something to move towards that really niceness of the day. Moves into Friday, May the 23rd, 2025. The moon is trining Aries. Uh, really, this is a good time after you find your alignment in your life purpose. The moon trining Aries is really a sense of motivation. A lot of the motivation regarding these is about self-improvement, of really starting self-improvement habits, right? Going to the gym, starting a new diet, adding a new supplement, uh, going to sleep at the right time, going to sleep at all those kinds of things can sort of happen. And sort of the move and the shift of these planetary bodies is also about harnessing your emotions to actually feel the actions, right? So a lot of times when I did community organizing, we sort of had the terminology of cold anger, right? And so people aren't usually moved to act on what's going to make them happy, because they could be happy later or it's not that bad. But if they're angry or something's wrong with what's going on, then they're more likely to act, right? And so this is a sort of idea of using emotions to move the self. Um, and then a lot of that emotional energy is going to come from the moon conjuncting Venus, right? So there's that sense of love and movement like that. Okay. Moves us into Saturday, May the 24th. What's happening on May the 24th, Jason? Let me look. It says that the moon is moving into Taurus. And so we're going to get the sense of sort of family, and the idea of spiritual practices are really going to be highlighted for the day, right? So maybe you're going to take up meditation. Hey, you just started working out on Friday, might as well start meditating on Saturday, right? Let's add them all at once. And it's a good time to increase income and wealth, right? So maybe have a new idea, maybe you've got a chance to start something different, or there is an opportunity coming up, something you're currently doing that sort of gives you an advantage to be able to raise your prices, be able to get something cheaper, right? So the energy around Saturday in that sort of financial stuff is the ability to have more income, right? And so one would sort of suggest that it's not just more general income, but more profit is sort of aligned for that day. Taurus is about grounded wealth in nice things and finer things. So that's probably the reason for that. And that moves us into Sunday, May the 25th. May the 25th. Mercury is into Gemini. And you have what did I write? That's some weird stuff. Finding clarity of mind. I couldn't read what I wrote about clarity of mind. Didn't say clarity of vision. Oh my goodness, Jason's losing his sight. Maybe not. Anyway, that's a little diversion. Clarity of mind. And so that clarity of mind is really to sort of be able to see this income or wealth increase clearly. Like, how's that going to work out? What should I be doing? What should I be planning to happen on Monday? Of course, the universe wouldn't be the universe as it didn't give you some controversy. So once you get to Monday, May the 26th, the moon is in Taurus, which is the moon in Taurus conjuncts Uranus, which is also in Taurus. And a lot of time that energy, Uranus being deep spiritual sort of change, the sense of unreasonableness, like this doesn't make sense, this can't be right, this isn't logically what's supposed to happen, right? So unreasonable opportunities can present themselves, right? So I want to say this is a temptation over doing something different that happens on Saturday or Sunday, but there might be like, oh, and what would be really crazy and successful and make me a little bit extra money would be blah blah blah. You might get one of those opportunities, and so the energy is not necessarily if that's the opportunity you should take, but you should sort of pay attention, and if you sort of have that inspiration, you should sort of pay attention to the energy. Could be jackpot. Oh yeah, this was exact right thing to do, or it could be a diversion for what we already planned on Saturday, Sunday, and it could be, oh shit, I crapped out. So pay attention to that energy. Discernment's necessary on Monday. And a lot of times, this is the energy. If anybody's been in coaching or anybody's been in leadership, this is you might have a really good plan that sort of surmises on Saturday, Sunday, right? And this might look like a great idea, right? And so this is like sacrificing uh, the good for the great, or the great for the good. Pay attention. This might not be great. It might just be a different kind of good, or it might even be a bad. So yeah, pay attention to that Monday energy. And then that's also the energy of we're getting closer to a new moon. So it doesn't necessarily, this energy that's sort of happening doesn't have to be a continuation of what you're already doing. It might be something brand new. And of course, that newness might be the beginning of more income, might not be an immediate more income. So what day? Monday. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, there's nothing on the next page. There is. It's Tuesday, May the 27th. And Venus is dominant on Tuesday, May the 27th. And Venus is, especially in this case on Tuesday, is really about the sort of attractiveness of opposites. So opposite sex, opposite point of views. And so you want to really sort of pay attention that on Monday, there's going to be this sense of drawing close to people in your life. This could be somebody that's already there. This could be randos that give you off the cuff compliments, right? There's just sort of people are going to sort of notice and be attracted to what you are. And likewise, you might be like, oh, that person was really just, a brightness in my day that was out of the ordinary, right? It doesn't have to turn into thing. It doesn't have to be anything about what's the word I'm looking for? What's a nice word to say on the internet? I don't know. It doesn't have to be about fidelity or infidelity. There we go. That's a good way to put it. But you can actually have attraction and nice things said about you, and not have to be like, oh my God, I'm gonna change my whole life, and this is the best person. I've been waiting for him. Don't do that. I mean, you could do that, but this isn't what the energy is telling you to do. This is just sort of, oh my God, that was really great, right? Take it as, oh, that feels really good to have this sort of understanding that humanity can be attracted to each other, and that the world's not failing and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's going to feel out of the ordinary, and therefore probably more intense, but not necessarily anything that's in alignment. It's like, oh my God, this is who I've been waiting for, unless you're not attached, and it is. There you go. I think that's everything for the report this week. I've been talking forever, it seems like. I've probably gone over, and people are knocking at the door going, I want to buy rocks. It's 11 a.m. So I appreciate you all coming back this week. Until next week, everybody, I'm going to find the stop button, and then I'm going to tell you many blessings and hit the stop button. See you next week.